Hi, everyone. If you've ever stared at your to-do list for like an hour and somehow still got nothing done, this video is for you. If you've ever followed that feeling up with saying, "What is wrong with me?" Stay with me because today is about you and I'm going to set the record straight. If you don't know me, my name is Shannon Schroeder. I am the F-Bomb coach and I help ADHD women build sustainable systems for their businesses and their lives. So let's start with talking about the myth. These are things that we've been told our whole lives. And the really insidious part is that you believe them. Just try harder. You'd get it done if you really wanted to. Everyone has problems with focus. You're just not trying hard enough. You're not disciplined enough. Today, we're going to replace that story, these lies that we are being told, with facts. The truth is that ADHD isn't about attention in general. It's about regulating attention, and that's a big difference. Your brain is not broken. If you've been with me for any amount of time, you know I say this all the time. Your brain is just different. A lot of you have spent decades thinking that you're just not trying hard enough, and today that stops. So, we're going to take a look at what's actually going on in your brain. In ADHD brains, these systems tend to be underactive, active, or dysregulated. Your prefrontal cortex, which is right here, right behind your forehead. You've heard me talk about this before. That's where your executive function lives. That's the part of your brain that handles things like planning, focus, starting tasks, controlling your impulses. This is your brain's project manager. In ADHD brains, this area has lower activation, especially if a task, the job you're trying to do, isn't urgent, novel, or interesting. Next up, we have dopamine. And most of you have probably heard what dopamine is, right? It's the let's go chemical in your brain. It is the thing that lights up your brain and says, this is fun, let's do it. Dopamine is key. Neurotypical brains have pretty much like a steady drip of it. ADHD brains are more like a faucet that's mostly off and then suddenly will blast if it's something that's interesting. And then the last one is norepinephrine, which helps regulate attention and alertness. And if these three systems are underactive or dysregulated, that's why you can't focus on the things that you're trying to focus on or that you should be focusing on. Dopamine is something that gets talked a lot about with ADHD brains, but not always in the way that we need to think about it. ADHD brains are wired for interest-based motivation, not importance-based motivation. So it doesn't matter how important something is. You know it's important. You try and give it that's like its due attention. But if you're not motivated by it because you're not interested in it, it makes it harder. Your brain isn't lazy. It needs a different type of fuel to engage with what you want to do. Neurotypical advice says just do the boring tasks first. That is a strategy. It is a tool, right? Like eat the frog. And for a lot of people that will work because you're getting it off your plate. It's not dragging you down, it's not nagging you in the back of your head. But for a lot of ADHDers, it doesn't work because your brain can't manufacture the motivation to do that. It's not a willpower problem, it's a dopamine problem. And there is a difference here. Your brain is triggered by things that are urgent and novel, right? It's new and interesting. It's challenging because you like to be able to problem solve, or something that you're just intrinsically interested in is going to motivate you. For those things that don't interest you, it makes it extra, extra hard to get going on them. And when we hear just try harder, it really backfires. Because the cruel irony of hearing that and then beating yourself up about it is that it makes focusing harder. So when you say, I just have to try harder and you're going to push through and you're going to make it happen, it actually makes focusing harder. That part isn't in your head. That's neurochemistry. Why? Because when you are pushing yourself harder and beating yourself up, like, what is wrong with you? Why can't you do this? Everybody else can do this. Stress floods your system with cortisol. cortisol suppresses the part of your brain that you need to think clearly and start these tasks. If you've watched some of my earlier videos, you know that I talk about flipping the lid, right? I talk about not being able to access your executive function skills because you flipped your lid. And when that happens, stress is one of those things that can cause that to happen. So beating yourself up about it, telling yourself you're stupid and you're lazy and you can't do anything right, that isn't going to motivate your brain. It's actually creating an additional handicap for your brain. So what is actually going on when you can't focus? This isn't about finding excuses. This is about trying to understand what's happening in your brain so that you can approach it the right way. Again, when we can't focus on something, it looks like laziness because you're just sitting in front of the computer staring at it, right? But it could be one of these other things. So, task initiation challenges, that is your ability to get started. You know what you need to do. You may even want to do it. You just can't get started. Working memory overwhelm. That's like having too many tabs open in your brain because your brain's going, oh, we need to hold on to all these. We got to hold on to them. We can't let them go. We can't let them go. And trying to hold on to all of these extra things, all of these extra ideas, these extra tasks, it is preventing you from giving focus to the task that's in front of you right now. Time blindness. If you struggle with time blindness, that means that your brain does not process time. You don't recognize time the way neurotypical brains do. You are the kid who, when you had a social studies project and you're like, it's 3 weeks out, I got plenty of time. And then you don't look at it and you're like, I got plenty of time. And then all of a sudden, 2 days before the project, you're like, holy shit, it's due in 2 days. I have nothing done and it's way bigger than I thought it was going to be. How did I run out of time? When that happens, when you've got a long runway of time, the deadline doesn't feel real to you. Why should I start it now? Your brain's like, it's not urgent. We got plenty of time. Sensory overload is when you have too many things happening, pulling your attention. Lights, sound, smell, things going on outside, things you're looking at. Those sensory distractions, there's too much input coming into your brain and your brain can't fight them off. And then there is the dopamine drought. If you don't have a compelling reason to engage now, the novelty, the challenge, the interest. This is not about finding excuses for why your brain isn't focusing. This is about finding the right kinds of solution. You can't fix the problem if you just call it laziness because it's not laziness. If you treat task initiation problems like laziness, it means that you're going to do things like you're going to yell at yourself, just get started. Well, obviously that doesn't work. You're going to keep using those tools that don't work unless you really look at what the underlying issue is. And then we have the hyper-focus plot twist, right? Hyper-focus is when you go all in, right? And I know that you've heard this used against you. You can focus when you really want to, and it hurts. It hurts because it's true. You know that you can fall down a rabbit hole and spend 6 hours doing something. And it seems unfair. But here's the thing, hyperfocus proves the dopamine theory. When a task has the right ingredients, if it's interesting, if it has urgency, if it has novelty, your brain lights up. It happens because the topic triggers that dopamine response, and then your brain locks in, sometimes a little bit too hard. It's the same brain you've always had, it's just different conditions. So the goal isn't to fix your brain, it's to learn what conditions your brain needs to engage and build more of those into the tasks that you have to do. So what do we do with this? You need to first stop diagnosing your attention and focus struggles as like issues with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Again, your brain is just different. Start asking, what does my brain need now? And then look for ways to add that. Today, I just want you to walk away with this. The reason you can't focus isn't because you're broken. It's because you've been handed a map to do life that was never drawn for your brain. That's fixable. You need a new map. You need to create a map that is going to work for your brain. Thank you very much for joining me today. If this resonated with you, hit like, subscribe so that more ADHD women can find these videos.